Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the hidden forces behind why you do what you do. And spoiler alert, it's almost never as logical as you think.
All right, let's kick things off with a big one. Something we've all been talking about. Why is the whole return to the office debate so heated, so illogical? It's not really about productivity reports, is it? Nope. There's a much deeper psychological battle happening right under the surface.
So, on the surface, we say it's about things like productivity and collaboration and company culture. But advertising guru Rory Sutherland points out that the real fight, it's got nothing to do with spreadsheets. It's actually about psychology. It's about habit. It's a clash between our old way of life and a brand new experience that, frankly, has totally rewired how we see the world. And this right here, this quote is huge. Sutherland says, once they've experienced the new behavior, the old behavior seems ridiculous. I mean, think about that. It explains so much, right? Once you've tasted something better, something easier, going back doesn't just feel slow, it feels completely absurd. Just look at your own kitchen, for example. We used to think waiting a few minutes for a kettle to boil was totally normal. But then, you get one of those instant boiling water taps, and suddenly, waiting for that kettle feels, as Sutherland says, weirdly Victorian. That's like, why would anyone do that? The thing that used to be a convenience is now a total pain.
Or remember this? Buying a whole CD just for that one song you loved? We all did it. It seemed fine, but the second we could just instantly download that one single track we actually wanted, the whole idea of buying the CD seemed crazy. It changed like overnight.
And boom. That's exactly what's going on with the return to office debate. That daily commute, it was just what you did, a necessary evil. But after a couple of years of experiencing life without it, of getting that time back, of just rolling out of bed and joining a meeting, that same exact commute now feels, as Sutherland puts it, twice as painful. Our experience fundamentally changed the equation.
Okay, so if it's not always about what's useful, why do we adopt new things? Well, a massive part of the answer is something called signaling. A lot of the time, we grab onto new stuff not because it's genuinely better, but because of what it says about us. It signals that we're cool, we're high status, we're ahead of the pack.
Sutherland has this brilliant analogy from the natural world. Think about dinosaur feathers. The leading theory is that they didn't evolve for flying at first. Nope. They evolved for display, for showing off, attracting a mate, basically for sexual selection. It was only much, much later, once they were already there, that they got repurposed for something useful, flight. And you see this everywhere with technology. The very first cars, they were terrible. Unreliable, impractical, but man, did they signal that you were rich and important. Or think about typewritten letters. They weren't actually faster than handwriting, but they signaled that you were a serious business. You could even say the same thing about something like the Apple Vision Pro today. The utility comes after the status.
But here's the problem. This obsession we have with being logical and efficient, it can make us completely blind to what really matters. Sutherland tells this classic advertising joke. You've got a copywriter, an art director, and an account manager. They find a genie. The creatives wish for these amazing, life-changing things, and then it's the account manager's turn, and he panics and says,
And the punchline of the joke is that in the business world, we are all trained to be that account manager. We're conditioned to focus on what's urgent, the meeting that's happening in 2 hours, and that focus completely crowds out what's actually important. Like, a once-in-a-lifetime wish from a genie?
And this way of thinking creates a massive systemic flaw in most companies. We obsess over what are called sins of commission. These are the small, visible screw-ups that are super easy to punish. Like, if an employee steals a 1-pound chocolate bar from the canteen, they could get fired on the spot. But we completely, totally ignore the sins of omission. These are the massive, invisible opportunities we miss, the ones that can cost millions.
Sutherland gives this perfect example. He was driving at night and saw a service station that looked completely closed. All the lights were off. Turns out, it was open. An employee had just forgotten to flip one switch. The cost of that tiny sin of omission, potentially over £200,000 in lost revenue, in a single night. And you know what? No one got in trouble. Why? Because nobody even noticed. It was an invisible mistake.
So what's at the heart of all this? It really comes down to two totally different ways of looking at the world. On one hand, you have deterministic thinking. That's the spreadsheet world. It assumes everything is predictable, that we can optimize our way to success. And business loves this. It's safe. But the real breakthroughs, the real value, that comes from probabilistic thinking. That's where you accept that the world is messy, it's uncertain, and it's absolutely packed with hidden what-ifs.
And this is why the great innovators, they just operate on a different frequency. You know, Jeff Bezos famously paraphrased this idea, saying something like, when the anecdotes disagree with the data, you have to go with the anecdotes. He built a whole culture at Amazon around trying things that the data might say are a bad idea. He got that a single story from a real customer can reveal a truth that a mountain of data will completely miss. He chose the messy, real world over the tidy spreadsheet.
And that's really the core tension, isn't it? Most of business, most of life, is probabilistic. It's messy. It's psychological. But everyone in business wants to pretend and prove with their spreadsheets that it's all deterministic and predictable. The truth is, to find any real breakthrough value, you have to be brave enough to admit that the spreadsheet doesn't have all the answers. So we'll leave you with this final thought. Take a look at your own life, your own business. Where are you being a little too logical? Where's that obsession with what's rational and measurable causing a sin of omission? What huge, game-changing opportunity might you be walking right past just because it doesn't fit neatly into a spreadsheet?